Good evening. Welcome to the December 18th, 2025 meeting of the City of Minnetonka Planning Commission. The Commission generally meets twice a month, always on a Thursday. The schedule and tentative meeting agendas can be obtained by calling the Planning Division or by checking the city website at minnetonkamn.gov. The Commission holds public hearings on land use applications. For all land use applications, the city notifies property owners within at least 400 feet of the site and posts plans and information on the website. For some applications, the city also places signs on the properties and places notices in the Sun-Sailor newspaper. From a specific process standpoint, the Commission makes recommendations to the City Council on rezonings, subdivisions, conditional use permits, and amendments to the city's comprehensive guide plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations. We also make final decisions on site plans, signage requests, variance requests, and expansion permits, unless those requests are part of an application that must be heard by City Council. In that case, the Commission makes a recommendation and the Council makes the final decision. Anyone dissatisfied with a final Planning Commission decision may appeal to the City Council by submitting a written request to City staff within 10 days of this meeting. From a broader standpoint, the city's comprehensive guide plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations are the city's best efforts to codify a balance between individual rights and community responsibilities. Individual rights are easy to understand. Community responsibilities are more subtle. But the idea is that we, as members of the community, agree to limit our individual rights for the common good of the group. The Planning Division, the Planning Commission, and the City Council are charged with managing this sometimes difficult balancing act. We ask you keep this broader perspective in mind as we review tonight's applications. Again, welcome. Staff, please call roll.
Banks.
Here.
Brink.
Here.
Hanson is absent. Henry.
Here.
Minion.
Here.
Waterman is absent. Chair Maxwell.
Here. There are 5 of us seated tonight. Next on the agenda is approval of the agenda. And Ms. Thomas, I believe there's a change memo for tonight?
Yes, Chair, there's a change memo. First is to your actual agenda and then to item 8A. That indicates that this is a 4-vote item, needing 4 affirmative votes to approve. That is an error. 5 affirmative votes are required to approve a site plan review, specifically because it's a final decision by the Planning Commission, subject to appeal. Then we also received some comments on item 7A. Those are the changes.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. May I have a motion to approve the agenda considering the change memo?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Henry.
I'll second.
Second, Banks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is approval of the minutes of the, I believe it's the November 20th, 2025 meeting. Any changes to those minutes? No, or may I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Minion.
I'll second.
Second, Brink. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Next is report from staff.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Just 2 items to report on. The Council met on December 8th. There was only 1 item on that agenda, though the meeting was quite long. The last item on the agenda was the 7 Brew conditional use permit and site and building plan review for that drive-through use. That was approved by the Council as a project. Out of that came some conversation about wanting to look at drive-throughs as uses in our community as part of the zoning update. Also, the Council may consider having conversation about that at one of their study sessions next year. So that, again, is a general topic coming out of that specific project discussion. Then my only other item is your next scheduled meeting is January 8th, but we do not have any items that are ready to go for that meeting. So that meeting will be canceled, and your next meeting then will be January the 22nd. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. For that January 22nd meeting, I know some commissioners' terms are ending in January. Will they end before that meeting or after?
Terms end, Chair, on January, the last day in January. So that meeting, all of our current members will be at that meeting, and we will do some planning for that meeting ahead of time.
All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda is reports from commissioners. Does anybody have anything to report this week? No? All right. This is going to be a quick meeting. All right. Next is item 7, the consent agenda. We have one item here. City staff places items on the consent agenda that are considered routine. So no staff or applicant presentations will be made, and the commission will hold one public hearing. We'll approve all the items, for which there's one, with one motion. Before voting, I'll open a public hearing. If anyone on the commission or in the public would like to remove that from the consent agenda and have a discussion on it, we will remove it and discuss it. So I will open the public hearing for item 7A. I don't have a gavel, but I'm opening the public hearing. So this first item is 7A, preliminary and final plat of Oakland Woods Estates, a 2-lot subdivision at 2203 Oakland Road. Would anybody like to remove this from the consent agenda and have a bigger discussion on it? All right, I don't see anybody moving, so I will close the public hearing. And commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda, please?
I'll make the motion.
Motion Minion.
I'll second.
Second Brink. Staff, please poll the commission.
Banks,
Yes.
Brink,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Minion,
Yes.
Chair Maxwell.
Yes. Motion carries. That item is approved. If you would like to appeal that decision, it must be done by written request to the city staff within 10 days of this meeting. Good luck with your project. All right, next item is item 8. This is the non-consent agenda. So before we begin consideration of these, I'd like to review the steps in the process that will be followed. So first, I'll announce the item. Staff will give a report on it. Then the commission can ask questions of staff. Second, the applicant will be invited forward. They can make a presentation at that time, and then commissioners can ask questions of that applicant. Third, then the public hearing will be opened. Anyone present can come ask questions, give comments, address your questions to me, and then I will make sure at the end of all the public hearing that all those questions get answered. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and your address for the record. Please keep your comments brief. Try not to repeat things that have already been said. I think that's it. So the first item on tonight's non-consent agenda is item 8A, a site plan review for a parking lot expansion at 11501 K-Tel Drive. And Ms. Ottelman, I believe this is your item.
Thank you, Chair. This project is for Big River Encore Park. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the resolution rescinding and replacing Resolution 2024-11 regarding a site plan review for the property 11501 K-Tel Drive. As Ms. Thomas mentioned, 5 votes are needed to pass this motion. This project may look familiar to most commissioners. We did review it last year in September 2024. At that time, it was for a site expansion for parking. The current owner has brought forth a new site and building plan proposal with Rainbow Tree Care, the tenant that would be utilizing the expanded area. At the time that the previous site and building plan was brought forth to the staff, it was for a violation on the property, which had to do with unapproved expanded parking areas north of the building used for Rainbow Tree Care and northeast. In September 2024, the Planning Commission approved the project. At this time, there's been no improvements to the site. Since the original approval in 2024, there's been a request for revision, This was due to after the plan was approved, the tenant believed that some of those modifications would not meet their operational needs, meaning they needed further modifications for the, to stay at the site. In red, you can see the expansion that was approved in 2024, which was for the parking. And then there's some a surface basin for the impervious area. In blue is the current proposal addition, which has parking in the current green space between the buildings on the easterly half of the property. Again, this northern building, which is kind of hard to see, is occupied by Rainbow Tree Care. And there would be an underground storm chamber underneath this northern row of parking, as well as a surface basin in the southeast corner. Here's another illustration of just the proposal shown over a satellite view of the property. This proposal has been a collaboration between the tenant and the property owner. For the proposed site plan, the current site has impervious parking, that should say impervious surface coverage of 322,305 square feet. By code, they're allowed 369,000, and they're proposing 362,000 square feet. From the current site standards, that's about an acre increase in impervious surface coverage. However, it doesn't meet city code. By city code, they're allowed up to 65% impervious surface coverage, and this proposal is just under 24%. Staff does want to mention that for the site, for the future, to make sure that it still meets the current standard, they're only allowed about 7,000 square feet of further expansion, meaning that this would not be considered a long-term solution for the site. For the parking ordinance, staff reviews the number of tenants as well as their tenant space individually and their uses. Currently, the site has 238 stalls. Per the city code, 254 stalls are required, and this proposal would increase the site to 303 stalls. As a side note, the parking ordinance does not include fleet vehicles in the calculation, just the tenant square footage. Based off the numbers provided by Rainbow Tree Care, they would need more likely 330 stalls. However, that would be a management issue to discuss between the property owner and the tenant about how many vehicles and managing vehicles coming in and out. For trees, the property has 255 protected trees. That's high priority and significant. They're proposing to remove 7 overall. That would be 5% high priority of the high priority trees and less than 1% of the significant trees. So they meet the parking and the tree protection ordinance. Staff is recommending that the Planning Commission adopt the resolution rescinding and replacing Resolution 2024-11 regarding a site plan review for parking expansion at 11501 Catel Drive. We've received no comments for this project. Staff is available for questions, as well as the property owner and tenant, are available. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Adelman. What questions do we have for staff? Commissioner Minion.
Kind of easy, because my questions are going to be the same as they were before, is how we're going to protect the stormwater. You've got a lot of things in place. I saw curbs and gutters. I see more surface covered. I like the idea of having the capture basin, but can you guys talk about, either the city or the applicant, a little bit about how they intend to take care of that surface water? I saw a retention tank. Will that eventually dump into something else, or will it be a slow leak type of a thing? And basically the surface pond, how that's going to be maintained and taken care of, kind of the water flow in general.
Chair and Commissioner Minion, I'm going to jump in here and help a little bit with the stormwater treatment. So as it's designed here, there would be underground chambers to help meet the city's stormwater management rules. And so those chambers aren't intended to just hold water indefinitely. They, water is directed, or runoff is directed to those areas into the chambers and ultimately to infiltrate into the ground. So those products, again, are intended to treat for volume of water leaving the site, the rate at which it's leaving the site, and sometimes the quality of things leaving the site. So for the city engineering staff to say, yep, this project meets our stormwater rules, it means that the protections are in place under their engineering standards. Does that help?
Effectively, it's a leach tank, a capture and leach tank, and not a weir. It's not going to dump somewhere else, is what I'm hearing.
Chair Maxwell and Commissioner Minion, we can bring up the plans to see if it ultimately outlets. There has to be some type of outlet to these systems. And I am not an engineer, so I can't speak to leaching or weirs, but we can look at the plans for you. I can confidently say that our engineering staff and natural resources staff have reviewed this, and if they felt that there was concern about natural resource protection, we wouldn't be allowed to make a recommendation for approval.
Okay. And is the new work in any way going to flow into that surface pond, or will it all be captured in that capture tank?
Let me bring up the plans and I'll take a look.
And we could ask the applicant too. I don't mean to stick you with the question, sorry.
Maybe if there are other questions.
I was just going to say, any other questions while Ms. Thomas looks that up? Commissioner Brink?
Yes, in your staff report, you mentioned that this is not considered a long-term solution for the site. Could you just expand on that a little further? I mean, does it have to do with potential future tenant uses, or maybe just expand on that a little further if you could? Thank you.
Chair, yes. Chair, Commissioner, that is meant that in this case of expanding for the purpose of one specific tenant for their operational needs, that's not a long-term solution to do with other tenants, whereas they're coming up on their 7,000 square feet of impervious surface coverage left. So it's not something that they can continue to do. Whereas they do have available tenant space, some of them are vacant. So the alternative the staff is proposing is maybe looking at some expanding physically into those other spaces that exist.
Thank you.
Other questions? Commissioner Henry?
Thanks, Chair. To build on Commissioner Brink's question, in the packet it showed that with this proposal that the applicant would have, I think it's roughly 63.4 something percent impervious surface coverage, and the maximum impervious surface coverage is 65%. So if I'm doing the math right, does that mean that that 1.5 something percent additional equates to 7,000 more square feet?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks. And then second question, this is, can you go to the next slide in the presentation, please? Yeah, this is a good one. So on the right side picture, it shows what the current proposal is in red to develop that as a parking lot. Below, on the far right, below the red spot where there's, right, that's where I'm looking at. So that's the unofficial parking lot. When this is developed, is that a condition of approval that has to revert back to a natural state?
Chair, Commissioner, there is actually a wetland that you can see over here. So this area shouldn't not have anything in it. So yes, it could be used for the basin. Otherwise, it needs to revert to what was naturally there.
And when we say revert, does that mean they're just going to abandon it, or do they have to actually build it up and enhance it some way to revert it back to a more natural state?
So that area over here will be the basin. So they will be changing it to that basin area and then leaving this area as is. Our natural resources staff has been working with the DNR, so I'm sure they have a plan of specifically what needs to be done. They did come up with the conclusion that it was incidental, meaning that any kind of alteration to the area was just natural, and they did not require any remediation. So we don't have any plans for regrading or anything like that in that area.
Oh, good. So there's no base of class 5 there that needs to be scooped out and...
Not from my understanding.
Okay, thanks.
Chair, if I could have some more information about the stormwater, and I want to first say that I misspoke. This is not underground chambers here. This is a ponding and infiltration basin. So it should not be standing water, but it is an area where water can go, and the intent is to infiltrate into the ground. Not just intent, that's how it's designed. There is an emergency overflow, as there are on all similar projects, whether it's an underground chamber or above ground area. That emergency overflow, there would be overflow, land overflow to the east through the wetland buffer, outletting as would be allowed in this case to the east.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brink?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just want to confirm that both the tenant and the owner are in alignment with this plan. Oh,
Let's save that question for
Okay,
the
got
applicant's
it.
portion of the presentation. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, I have one. It may require bouncing between this and the slide where you have the square footage breakdown of the current and the code allowed and proposed. My question is that in that current calculation or current number, does that include the areas that on the previous slide are now sort of non-code allowed, what would it be, like sort of a deviation from code, non-compliant areas or not?
Chair Maxwell, the current would be as the site is today, so not those expanded parking areas.
Okay,
That
so could you go back to the map then and explain, so say like on the bottom right, the area that we were just talking about that's not in red, that would in the future be part of the base, is that area counted in the square footage of the current state on that table? Does that make sense?
Chair Maxwell, yes, it does. The area out here and in red
Yes.
is not paved, so it would not be counted as that impervious surface area.
Okay.
Right now, the area for current would just be the area that is paved, so ending right here before you get to the red.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff? All right, so at this time now we will call the applicant forward. You can give any presentation you want. Please state your name or your company name and the address for the record, and then commission will ask questions after that.
Hi, my name is Ryan Mallory. My address is 5353 Wayzata Boulevard, Suite 502 in St. Louis Park. And we are, I represent Big River Encore Park, who is the applicant, I believe, right?
And Greg Krogstad, CEO of Rainbow Tree Companies, Rainbow Tree Care. Our address is here, business address. My personal address is 9066 Greystone Avenue in Monticello, Minnesota. So, first question.
Yep. I think Mr. Brink asked if we were in alignment, and we are.
We've established a long-term lease to be in the property, and we did that this summer. And
Yep.
part of that lease includes a portion of the building to the south. So between the proposed new parking area, we would be occupying both the north and south building sections as well.
Part of the reason we're back for the reapplication is because my fault. I didn't bring Greg and his team into the conversations early enough. So we got the first plan approved, and then we took it to Greg and said, here's what we have to do to comply. And he said, okay, that's fine, but that doesn't work for us. So if you got to do that, I understand, but then we have to move, and then we wanted to keep them in Minnetonka, and So we worked with the staff and we came up with a new and improved plan that works for everybody.
All right, does anybody on the commission have questions for the applicant? Commissioner Henry.
Thanks, Chair. Greg, this is for you. In the city's write-up in the presentation, they mentioned explicitly about mentioning that there's only 7,000 additional square feet of impervious surface that they could expand to. So in your opinion, in this application, this is going to serve your company's needs for the short and medium, hard to say long-term, but the foreseeable future, you think that this expanded parking lot is going to accommodate what you need?
Yes, Commissioner Henry, we've put a lot of consideration into will we be able to grow in this footprint? This is Rainbow's headquarters. So a lot of our office and administrative staff offices out of this facility. It's part of our operations, but we absolutely can fulfill our operations with this. We're losing a section, and this brings back a section to make it work for us long term. So we feel very confident in that.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? All right, it looks like not at this time. We may call you back up if there are other questions after the public hearing or after we've considered. Thank you. All right, at this point, I will open the public hearing. If you would like to speak, please come to the podium, state your name and your address for the record. All right, I don't see anybody moving, so I will close the public hearing. And I will bring it back to the commission for any final, let's start with final questions for anybody and then move into comments. Looks like no questions. How about comments? Commissioner Henry.
Sure. Thank you for the applicant, the landlord, business owner coming in, explaining what the need is for this, and I'm looking forward to supporting this and keeping your company in Minnetonka. It provides a good service for those who like to take care of the tree canopy, and as you know, Minnetonka's got the highest percentage of tree canopy of all the suburbs in the Twin Cities. So I'm really grateful for the service that you provide, as well as many other citizens of the city. And it seems well laid out, thoughtful, so I'm looking forward to supporting it.
Commissioner Banks.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, thank you guys for coming back with this plan. It's great to see the relationship between the tenant as well as the owner of the building working together and coming up with a good plan. And I look forward to, you guys moving forward with this proposal and the site becoming in compliance.
Commissioner Minion.
I'd like to thank you for doing this. I've spent some time watching your operation when we were doing this before and kind of seen the morning startup. And I was a little concerned about some of the activities and things like that on and just having this paved, having the water captured, having it be able to be treated, I think is a big improvement for the environment. And I think it's just a great way to operate. And I appreciate you guys coming through, and I realize it's not always easy to go through these hoops, but I think you've done a great job, and thank you very much.
Commissioner Brink.
Yeah, thank you, staff and the applicant here for putting this all together and going through the process. And being this has been before the commission before, I think just last year, the plan looks like it's been vetted and discussed and gone over pretty well, pretty thoroughly. And I think it's a good plan. I look forward to seeing you complete it. And yeah, it looks good. Thank you.
All right, I'll go last here. This one is not as easy for me, I think, as it sounds like for the rest of you. I'm thinking about this sort of from a holistic city standpoint, where we've had two proposals so far this year where we've had underutilized parking lot that we've now converted into a coffee shop. We've converted I think we've had Taco Bell in a parking lot. And there's other places, we turned the Ridgedale parking lot into a park, for goodness sake. And here we are saying, let's take this green space, it's breaking up two buildings. And so the only trees on this site, which I imagine your people who work at your headquarters like to sit under those trees and have their lunch, and say, let's pave this over. so that we can park some things here when we have so much underutilized parking in the city. So this is, I think from an individual business perspective, from an individual site perspective, yes, code allows up to 65% impervious surface. But if I'm thinking from a broader city perspective, long term, do we want to add more parking to this site? So that's where I'm struggling with it. So I'd just like to hear if any, I wish I could have gone first so you guys could respond. You can still respond if anybody has a response to that. Convince me one way or the other. That's sort of what I'm struggling with right now on this one.
Would it be
Commissioner Minion.
Would it be appropriate to ask the applicant to come up and talk a little bit more about their use? I think calling it a parking lot might be a little bit of a misnomer. And if we brought up that picture again, it might be helpful, because my understanding from what I witnessed is yes, it's employee parking, but it's also kind of a storage area and staging area for the equipment. They have a lot larger equipment, but maybe that would be is that appropriate to ask that?
I think let's have more conversation here,
Okay.
and then we can bring them up if there's anything else we have questions for them about.
So what I witnessed when I saw it is it wasn't just more parking for employees. I assume they're going to use it the same way. But if you look at that wider band of the L shape, the one that comes north-south, there's quite a bit of a large equipment being stored there. And they were doing some light maintenance and things like that, fueling the smaller equipment. It's more than just a parking area. And that's why, quite frankly, I'm really happy to see the surface get treated in a way that can capture the water. If there was a broken hydraulic line, if fuel happened to spill out of something, they've got a great big maintenance shop that they do their maintenance things in, but they're kind of doing little service stuff, and then they had a whole bunch of equipment stored out there. So it's more than just a parking lot from what I witnessed, if that helps at all.
Anybody else? Are you Commissioner Henry?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks for bringing up that other point of view. The purpose of the discussion between commissioners is just that. So it's not that we have to follow an exact procedure, then once we speak, then we can't speak again. So I'm happy to speak some more. And you brought up points that I hadn't considered, and it is rather ironic that a tree care company is taking away some of these trees that contribute to the tree cover of the city of Minnetonka. So on one hand, I lament that there's trees being lost, and I agree. In my place of business where I work, we had some big trees taken out, and I was pretty sad that they were taken out too. They provided shade in the summertime, and it was better for the cooling of the building in the summertime as well. So yeah, it's not ideal, but I agree with Commissioner Minion about with larger equipment, if they have to do work on them, this is a better option than if they just had some haphazardly constructed or people pull on a dirt pad, which is what they used to do. So is it ideal? No, it's not. I'd rather have no trees being lost, but I think it's a better option than what is currently there. And if I balance out like the commission's purpose is to codify the balance between individual rights and community responsibilities. As a citizen, I like to see as many trees as possible. As a business owner, as a landlord, I like to see functionality of the space for the tenants. And this is going to add considerably to the functionality for the space. And if it's going to keep the tree care company in this building, which I think is a good thing, then it's a sacrifice, yes, and it's not great, but it's better than the alternative. So I'm not sure how much that would convince you, but it's a little bit trying anyway.
Commissioner Banks?
Yeah, and I'll just simply add to that, just the fact that this plan brings the space into compliance with our current codes is a big plus for me.
Commissioner, you're talking about the parking on the site because previously there was not enough parking spaces?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, did Commissioner Minion remind me your question that you had for the applicant? It was sort of how do they use the space? I think that's a question that I have. If you could come up and speak to how do you use the space, and if you did not have this parking space, would you be able to park this equipment, say, on a different site? I know you had some parking across the street for a while. How would you respond to that option.
Yeah, keep it coming. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question, Commissioner Chair. So we would, first off, some of the materials that we would park over here, the small equipment, is things that are more protected in that area than across the street, adjacent, kind of open, where somebody can be driving by. The other use that we foresee with the site is staging trees for tree planting. It's something that we're currently doing, and the space that's being utilized is being taken away as an area that we're using to stage future trees for the urban forest that we're preparing to plant. So those things is what this area will also be used for. The loss of the trees is not lost on us. It definitely was, as we looked at it, it was a concern. The prior plan, the one that was approved before, actually, we think would remove more trees to the north, very tall trees that are significant for wildlife, and we really want to keep those trees. So that middle section mainly contains green ash, which we are treating. There are 3 lindens, and the rest are green ash. So
The ash
we're
borers.
willing to let go of them. I mean, somebody stops treating them, they're going to die. Yeah.
Part of the reason we moved to underground storage along that north was because we could save a significant amount of the trees between, the asphalt and the, I don't know if it's a retention or a detention basin, but the basin to the north.
Yeah. The other plan required us to do some excavation of that part north of it, and that would remove a lot of trees. We want to keep those trees that are between the current pond and the site.
So yeah, it's a little bit more costly to do the underground storage there, but I think we probably saved 50 trees
It's not more, yeah.
that way.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. All right. It sounds like we might be ready for a motion here. Would anybody like to make a motion to, let's see if we can put that up on the screen, to approve the resolution rescinding and replacing Resolution 204-11 regarding a site plan review for a parking lot expansion at 11501 Catel Drive?
I'll make a motion.
Motion Brink,
I'll second the motion.
second Henry. Staff, please poll the commission.
Banks,
Yes.
Brink,
Yes.
Henry,
Yes.
Minion,
Yes.
Chair Maxwell.
Yes. Motion carries. That is a final decision by the Planning Commission. Anyone aggrieved by this decision needs to provide writing to staff within 10 days of this meeting. Good luck with your project. All right, next item on our agenda is other business, for which there is none, I believe. I believe, yes. And then adjournment. Would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion?
Motion, Henry.
I'll second.
Second, Banks. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Good night.
Thank you.